Squawkabilly makes its Pokemon Go debut during the Flying Taxi event. The event does start from Tuesday, June 23rd, 10 AM to Monday, June 29th at 8 PM local time, with a Team Go Rocket event happening halfway during this event. However, a separate video will be made for that event. The new Pokemon Squawkabilly, which made its debut in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, will be making its Pokemon Go debut during this event. So this Pokemon is a regional, however you get 3 of the 4. We'll go through later how to get the 4th one for your region. Now Hoothoot, Rookidee and Squawkabilly will be appearing in the wild. However, these are not the only 3 wild spawns. We do have more wild spawns. However, for some reason when they announced these events on the blog post, they do not give us all of the wild spawns. However, we'll still go through later which ones are worth catching. In the tier 1 raids, we have Swablu, Starly and Vullaby. And then in the 3-star raids, we have Hisuian Braviary, Corvisquire and Bombardier. For field research encounters, you can get Spearow, Hoothoot, Rookidee, Squawkabilly and Wattrel. And there will also be an event Go Pass, as every event has now. You can level up this Go Pass to receive a Super Rocket Radar, which allows you to battle Giovanni, but you will be able to get Shadow Reshiram, so if you haven't caught your Shadow Landorus just yet, go ahead and do so. And then when that event starts, you will also have a chance of getting a Shiny Shadow Reshiram, which will be cool to get. If you hit rank 10 on this Go Pass, you'll get 2 times catch candy, good to do this before you catch your Shadow Reshiram. And then if you get tier 2, which is rank 20, you'll earn more Stardust from defeating Team Go Rocket grunts and leaders. If you're into PvP, I would recommend catching Rookidee because you can use Corviknight in PvP. Corviknight is a solid Pokemon in the Great League, and this Pokemon also has a Gigantamax in the future. Not sure how good it's going to be, but it could be worth preparing your candies in Candy XL for when that does drop. It did have a community day last year. Hoothoot because Noctowl is also good in PvP. And then Squawkabilly generally is just a Pokedex entry because its attack stat is too low to compete in raids, and its defense stat is too low to compete in PvP. As far as the best Pokemon to raid, we have Swablu because Altaria is a good PvP Pokemon, has been since PvP was a thing, and has a Mega Evolution. Same with Starly, can evolve all the way up into Staraptor, which does have a Mega coming in the future. As well as this, Shadow Staraptor is a good Pokemon to use as a raid attacker. Vullaby is good to raid because Mandibuzz is good in PvP and is a rare shiny. And then Corvisquire because, like we said earlier, Corviknight, PvP, Gigantamax, Corviknight as well. And the best Pokemon in my opinion to catch from field research, we have Spearow because currently in this season, Fearow is a solid PvP Pokemon in the Open Great League and is fairly easy to invest in, only require 10,000 Stardust and 25 candies to unlock a second charge move. Same with Rookidee and Hoothoot, we mentioned those earlier, how Corviknight is good in PvP, same with Noctowl, and Gigantamax Corviknight in the future. And then Squawkabilly is from field research as well. You are looking for a hundo for this in case you're a hundo collector. Other than that, again, simple Pokedex entry, not too great in my opinion to catch, but it is there. Now for all of these Pokemon in the wild, I think it's good to get as much candy as you can, because with Pokemon in this game, you want to be in a position where you never have to catch that Pokemon again. What I mean by this is that you want to have enough candy to invest in any Pokemon you want, whenever you want. So how did we get into this position? Number one thing to do in Pokemon Go that completely beats Pineapple Berries is to Mega Evolve a Pokemon that shares the same type as a Pokemon you're catching. For example, we have Flying and Normal type Pokemon appearing in the wild in this event. You can Mega Evolve something like a Pidgeot, which comes back into Mega Raids soon as well, next week. So this can definitely be worth going after in Mega Raids. You can also spend Mega Energy to get a Mega Level 3 or a Mega Level 4. If you have a Mega Level 4, you can also Mega Evolve Dragonite, which is a part Flying type, which will get you more candy for the Hoothoot, the Swablu, Rookidee, etc, etc. Everything is actually a Flying type in the wild, so it could actually just be worth Mega Evolving a Rayquaza or a Dragonite at level 4. You could also Mega Evolve a Psychic type if you're doing Necrozma raids, or a Steel and Dragon type if you're doing Shadow Dialga raids. This links back into the Dragonite at level 4. Dragonite is a Dragon and Flying type Pokemon, which means you'll get more candy for Shadow Dialga, which is one of the best Steel type raid attackers and Dragon type raid attackers, and you'll be getting more candy for all of the wild spawns. You can also take advantage of the wild spawns a little bit more by going after Windy Weather. Windy Weather will boost the Stardust gains of any Flying type Pokemon you catch. Windy Weather also boosts Dragon type, so any Dialga you fight in Shadow Raids will also be weather boosted. To get to level 80 in Pokemon Go, you do need a bunch of platinum medals. You need 50, but the best ones to do during this event are going to be your Flying type medal, your normal type catch medal, the basic catch medal, the PvP medal for the Great League if you're doing a bunch of Great League with the new Pokemon you're going to be getting for your teams, field research, Mega Evolution, And then most importantly, the best one to work on in every single event like this is going to be the Rising Star Medal, where you have to defeat 150 unique species of Pokemon in raids. There's 8 Pokemon you can add to that list. This also just adds to your raid medal regardless, and if you do Shadow Dialga raids, which I highly recommend you do during this event over any other raid, you can then add towards your legendary raid medal, where you have to defeat 2,000 legendary Pokemon in raids. Now, some more external tips: I recommend spinning a bunch of Pokestops to get more berries, Pokeballs to prep for the event if you want to do a lot of catches. You can also use Palkia's spatial rend ability, which I recommend you do to see more Pokemon on the map. I'd also recommend playing on Scenic Sunday because we get more spawns, more Pokemon on routes, more chance for a Galarian Bird, and if you're playing in windy weather anyway, Galarian Birds are boosted. And then if you have that Mega Dragonite active, you are also getting more candy for those Galarian Birds. If you don't want to use Spatial Rend and you want to target these Galarian Birds, you can also use Dialga's Roar of Time Adventure effect, which will pause the timer on the items, giving you like a 24-hour daily incense if you have the resources. I mentioned earlier on in this video that the Squawkabilly is actually a regional Pokemon, so how do we get the 4th form? Let's say, for example, you are in the Eastern Hemisphere. You'll be able to get both the yellow and white Squawkabilly because both of these are regional, and then you'll also be able to get the green Squawkabilly as that is the Eastern Hemisphere. What you want to go ahead and do is you want to find players online who live in the Western Hemisphere. You want to build up to forever friends with them, because when you hit forever friends with a friend, you'll be able to do what's called a remote trade, allowing you to do a trade from anywhere around the world with anyone around the world. Then you can give that person in the Western Hemisphere a green Squawkabilly, and then they can give you a blue Squawkabilly. You can do this with any regional Pokemon, by the way, as well. But if you are a collector and you want to have all of the regionals, it's the best way in my opinion, unless you wait like 3 years for the Paladin tour, which I don't recommend you do if you really want this Pokemon for whatever reason. This Pokemon's not exactly good, and people will probably have loads of them because it is spawning in the wild and it's from research, and the event is almost a week long. With that being said, I know this event in itself is not that big of an event, but do bear in mind that we do have the Team Go Rocket Takeover event happening halfway during this event, and I will be making a video for that shortly, going through everything in that event and what that event has to offer and how to make the most of that event. So if you haven't already, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, the basic YouTube things. Comment below if this video did help you, and I will see you guys hopefully in that next video where we talk about the Team Go Rocket Takeover event and everything that event has to offer.